2024 is about halfway done, so that means it's time to discuss the best of the year so far. And how this video is going to work, I'm going to be talking about some movies, some TV shows in no particular order. So I think we got like 5 movies to discuss, 3 TV shows to discuss, and at the end of August, we will be discussing my most anticipated films for the rest of the year. So stay tuned for that. Before we get started though, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and leave your favorites of the year so far down below. Doesn't matter if it's movies, TV shows, even leave your favorite games of the year down below. But let's get it started with the first movie, which is going to be Civil War. This is probably one of the most divisive movies of the year so far, but I found so much to really love and felt like Alex Garland really leveled up as a director with this one. It really just left me kind of like numb to the core because how anxiety inducing some of those scenes were. Like, if you've seen this movie, which it's on like digital and stuff like right now, the Jesse Plemons scene, oh my god, I was like shaking. I was like, my anxiety is through the roof like there. And anytime people were getting shot, I was like, this is actually terrifying, because the sound design in this movie in IMAX was straight up boom, and like I could feel those gunshots in my chest when someone fired a gun. I was like boom, boom, boom. I was like, oh my god, who leveled up the sound system for IMAX? It's never been that loud. Like, I even complain sometimes that IMAX commercial before the movie is louder than the actual movie. It's crazy. Some people were mad at this because it didn't take a political side, but I didn't really see it as, a political movie. I took it as, of a character piece and character drama of these journalists going through and experiencing the war through their own eyes. Because journalist people don't really pick a side, usually, but everyone in the cast had their own moment to shine. But Kaylee Spaney and Kirsten Dunst really showed how great they were. This is one of Kirsten Dunst's best roles in my eyes, and Kaylee Spaney, she's on the roll with this Priscilla, Alien Romulus later this year. She's just owning the big screen. As I said, Jesse Plemons, that one terrific scene, man, he left a huge mark on everyone that saw this movie. And the last act, an attack on the White House, was some true masterful filmmaking, especially from Alex Garland, who doesn't really do action. So it was kind of insane to see how well he directed these scenes. I thought it was just terrific. The first show that we're going to talk about is Fallout, and I gotta say, somehow Amazon and Jonathan Nolan and other people that made a good Fallout show. Like, a great video game adaptation these days are hard to come by, but the last 3 years we've been kind of getting fed with some great content like The Last of Us, Sonic, and now this. But I gotta say, I have no hope for the Borderlands movie. It does not look that good, and I honestly haven't been a big Fallout fan before this show, but now I'm like all in. Give me all that lore, give me every information. I do love the game Fallout Shelter though. I did play that before watching this show, just on my phone. I thought that was a really fun game when I was bored in school, so I really like that game. And it is confirmed we're getting a second season, which I think could release next year, but probably 2026. Gotta say though, Ella Purnell, Walton Goggins, and Aaron Moten are just an elite trilogy. I loved each one of their own individual stories, and then how they connected and became intertwined by the end of it. Like, I loved Ella Purnell. I thought she was just great, how she was a vault dweller. Then she got out, she didn't know how to act. She didn't know how people were just ruthless in this town. Walton Goggins, left me just so speechless every time he came on screen as the ghoul. True badass. And Aaron Moten was actually a very funny guy. I love that one scene where he's just protecting the suit of armor and he had to get his teeth taken out just to have enough money to get a repair tool for the armor. And that practical armor was just amazing to look at. And while I enjoyed binging it, I think a weekly release model would have kept the conversation going for longer and would have just made the show even better for everyone. I think a lot more people would have found it. So hopefully season 2 they do a weekly model release one. But I did enjoy the binge, and it's a budget well used. Great practical sets, great costumes, and the on location scenes felt so real. I don't think we're ever going to get a Fallout adaptation or a video adaptation this great. Now we gotta talk about Furiosa, because what a picture George Miller crafted here. I mean, it's not as good as Mad Max Fury Road, but we never expected it to be, and if you did expect it to be as good or even better than Fury Road, you were asking for too much, because Fury Road is like the second best action movie of all time. I still think it goes back and forth between like Mission Impossible, Fallout, Fury Road, John Wick 4. I think they're all like the true masterpieces of action movies in this day and age. But this one, it's a true odyssey for Furiosa's character, and Anya Taylor-Joy nailed this character. I love her kind of look at this character. Her eye acting in this movie is straight up on another level. It's insane. All the action sequence here were great. You know, the two that really stand out to everyone are the war rig action sequence, that's like 13 minutes long, and then the bullet from action sequence had my jaw drop to the ground. George Miller just gets really innovative with how he continues action throughout like a 13-minute sequence. It's fairly impressive how he does it. In the war rig action sequence, you think, it's 5 minutes in, you think it's almost ending. Then these people come in and start like gliding in the air with parachutes. I'm like, how is he doing this? How does he even think of this? It's absolutely insane. I will say though, some of the CGI and compositing wasn't great, but it's something I can look past if the story is really good. And the story was great. It's told in chapters. The 5th chapter was truly on like Fury Road's level, and I was just so giddy in theaters watching it. I was like leaning forward so much. I can't wait to own it on physical media because the double feature between this and Fury Road will just be spectacular. Shogun might be one of the best seasons of television that I've ever watched. Like one of the best first seasons of television, because supposedly we are getting a sequel, and hopefully that doesn't really mess it up, because I think the same showrunners are coming back, but they basically told all this story that they did know from the source material, and I was dying every week waiting for a new episode. This was true like event television that carried like TV from February to the end of March, because now we have three series that are kind of carrying television. But February to May and March, we only had Shogun, and I was dying. I was screaming for a new episode every week. The amount of care and craftsmanship put in this show was simply on another level, and it took me a little bit to kind of understand everything that was going on because it was a new story for me. But once I did, I got emotional, hyped, happy. It made me feel all the emotions, which that's what a show or movie is supposed to make you feel. It's supposed to make you feel things, and this one did. Like by the time this was ending, I was like, oh my god, I can't believe it's ending. It just it struck a huge chord with me. It left a huge impact on me. Hiroyuki Sanada, Cosmo Jarvis, and Anna Sawai all deserve Emmys for their outstanding performances. I don't know how I'm gonna enjoy season 2 without Anna Sawai as Mariko. I miss her so much. I loved Anna Sawai and Cosmo Jarvis's relationship in the show. I think that this is just a true masterpiece of a television season. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's on Hulu. I do want to talk about the Fall Guy for a little bit, because everyone should know by now, Ryan Gosling is my favorite actor, and he has been my favorite actor for some time now. He is great in every single movie that he does. I love his work in The Nice Guys, Blade Runner, La La Land, and now this. And Emily Blunt was also really great in this. Their chemistry worked a lot. It's a romance, it's an action movie, it's comedy at the same time. It's a rom-com, let's just say rom-com with action, let's just say that. And I also loved Winston Duke in this, when he was beating people up in that one apartment and he kept yelling out people's names like Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I thought that was really funny. This is a love letter to stunt people, which could lead to a stunts Oscar. Hopefully it does. I loved when they were marketing this movie, and the stunt people were at the front of the marketing, and they actually got to show who did every stunt for the movie. I thought that was a really special piece of marketing. I really wish a lot of more movies did that. Introduce the behind the scenes people and didn't just put them in the credits, put them in the marketing. They do a lot of work for these movies, and I just had a lot of fun with this in the theater. I saw it like 3 times. Very rewatchable for me personally. I'm excited to pick it up on home video. I love the soundtrack and the style that David Leitch went for. I think I'm just becoming a big David Leitch fan by now. I think he just makes really fun movies, and this one is no exception. Let's talk about the final show of this video, which is X-Men 97 Season 1, because we're confirmed to be getting another 2 seasons, and goddamn, I had literally zero interest in the show or the X-Men, but I got so obsessed after the first 2 episodes. Like, just watch the first 2 episodes, you're gonna be obsessed. Like, the animation work on this is it's like magnificent. Like, some of the animation here just blew my mind with some of the action sequences that they did, because Marvel with their TV shows, they haven't been great. This is the only one that's really been fantastic. And it's funny because it's the only animated, actually not the only animated one they did, because they had What If, but mostly their animated shows are better than their live action shows, which is kind of funny. Gambit and Cyclops turned into my new favorite X-Men. I loved Gambit in this, and I got so emotional when Gambit died with that best episode of the season. But what an epic send-off that was. He just stood his ground, but he is coming back as Death, I think, so that's gonna be really interesting. And what I loved is that there's so many great character moments with this, which each character kind of getting their own episode to shine. Even like someone like Jubilee got her own episode to shine, that one little gaming episode, which I didn't like on first watch, but when I watched it again, I did actually like it. And, you know, I didn't like Jubilee at the beginning, but after that episode, I found to really care for her. I loved Scott and Jean's relationship. I loved how Logan was in this. I thought he was really funny. Magneto had a really terrific story there. And let's talk about that 3-part finale for a little bit, because my jaw was dropping every different action sequence because of how well it was animated. Like every single week, they're really up in the ante, up in the game every single week. Like if Marvel put this much care into any other show that they made, I would be so much happy. I would be so happy, because every show they would make would be great if they put this much care into it. But give me unlimited seasons of this, please. It's just kind of like an animated masterpiece. Challengers is easily Luca Guadagnino's best movie yet. I was simply blown away watching this in IMAX. I was lucky I got to see this in IMAX, because like for some reason they had an IMAX early screening. Then when the movie officially came out, they had no more IMAX showing. So I was happy I got to see an IMAX. Like the way each character had their own story and own motivations in here was kind of terrific. The script here is like an A+. I think it might be my favorite script of the year so far, because you got Tashi, she loves tennis, and you know, and then you have Art and Patrick, and while they both love tennis, they both love each other also, and they both sacrifice a lot throughout the film to, you know, get with Tashi, keep playing tennis, keep loving each other, get their friendship back. It's so many different stories combining, and it is, you know, a non-linear story, which that format really helped me, you know, enjoy the film even more, because it keeps you locked in, kind of noticing the little details. You're going forward 2 weeks, you're going backwards a couple days, going forward 48 hours. Like you got to really be locked in, you got to be focused on the film, and it really helps you, you know, digest it better and helps you enjoy it more. The cinematography, holy crap. The shot choices blew my mind at some points. Like that's not, at one point you get a POV of a ball getting hit by the tennis rackets, of course, and then at one point you get the POV of being under the court, or being, you know, Arthur Patrick. I was like, what? I was like, what are you doing? This is actually insane. I've never seen this kind of done before. And then the score by Reznor and Atticus Ross White might be like the best score of the year for me so far. You know, that techno pumped up stuff just had me grooving in my seat. And, you know, it kind of felt like Tron Legacy, which I think Tron Legacy is like one of the best scores of all time. And I wanted it to be longer just because I enjoyed how tense it was between these characters, who Josh O'Connor, Zendaya, and Mike Faist played perfectly. I was just locked in. I was leaning forward every second. What a masterpiece of like a sexual erotic sports movie. Last movie that we're going to discuss is Dune Part 2. Of course, it's on the list. Why wouldn't it be on the list? And honestly, I can't lie. It might be my new favorite movie of all time. I saw it 9 times in theaters, which is a new record for me. My last record was 8 with Across the Spider-Verse from last year. So I got to break it with Dune Messiah. And, you know, maybe we might be getting Dune Messiah December 2026. So I could break it with that, see Dune Messiah 10 times. It's kind of difficult, but I think it would be fun. And this is just a science fiction masterpiece, and it sets a new high bar for theater experiences and IMAX experience. Like this and Oppenheimer from last year have used the IMAX format so well, with that, you know, increased sound system and the expanded ratio. Like some movies going to IMAX don't use that expanded ratio. Like what's the point of you going to IMAX to see that? But this and Oppenheimer really do use IMAX to its limit. And Denis Villeneuve is like the king of science fiction to me after this, because between this, Arrival, and Blade Runner 2049, he can't miss. He doesn't miss for science fiction. He doesn't miss with his other movies. Truly one of the greatest directors working today. Greg Fraser also delivers his best cinematography yet, alongside Hans Zimmer, who once again proves why he's the GOAT of composing. Austin Butler stole the film for me as Fade Rauta. He was a true menace to society, and that final duel between him and Paul had me leaning all the way forward in my seat. And Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya both were amazing. Their chemistry was great, and that one scene of them sharing a kiss on the sand dune is one of the most beautiful scenes I've ever seen, combined with Hans Zimmer's beautiful score. And I did do a double feature between this one and the first one when it came out on physical media, and that was magnificent. It's, you know, life-changing stuff right here. I don't see anything beating this movie this year or the next year. You know, it's the best movie that I've seen throughout my whole entire life, and I still have to see a lot more movies, but Wow, what a life-changing experience and movie that was. But those are some of my favorite movies and series of the year so far. I think it's been a pretty great year so far, but not as good as 2023, I'd say. I think the movies are lacking just a little, but I think those series are really, kind of carrying the year. But hopefully the rest of the year can give us some more good stuff, and hopefully you all enjoyed this video. If you did, leave likes and subscribe to the channel. Leave your favorite movies and TV shows of the year down below. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.